reason why I wanted to run for Vice Prim and not just start off simple with Haka is that I feel that representation is something which is extremely important to me. And I have been that individual who has important things that they can bring forward to the table and have just sat back and not said anything because I felt like I needed to be in a position of leadership within Res in order to voice my opinion. And I want to try as hard as I possibly can to like disable that idea that you have to be in a position of leadership. And I feel that I would be approachable enough and willing to lead with kindness and with empathy to ensure that I really am someone that truly cares about every single person in Res and that every single issue that everybody's facing is really important to me because I feel really deeply. And so, yeah, I want to work on an individual level and I feel like I'm capable of that.
Thank you so much for that answer. We'll now take questions from the house, so please raise your hands for the first round of questions. Okay, so we've got LZ. Anyone else with a question? Chloe. Okay, so we'll go LZ, Chloe, Jess, Nina. Okay, LZ, go for it.
Hi, Jessica.
Hello.
I just want to know, in your speech, you say it's not negative aspects that need to be done away with, but rather things we can change and build upon. What are some of these things that you want to change?
Okay, thank you so much for your question. So the important things for me is that I really want to create a deeper sense of unity within our Res. And what I mean by that is the spirit of like collectiveness and energy that we feel in O Week when we're all so connected to each other and we're working so hard at Fensters and doing first year things. And that's a wonderful energy. And I want that kind of energy to be able to relate to the seniors because to a certain extent, you get so close with the first years and then you just get thrown into this bunch of seniors. And I feel like even though that process of getting to know everybody happens organically, I want to ensure that we have more in-house socials to get to know each other as well as we possibly can before we try and get to know the rest of campus. And yeah, that's one of the things I want to change. And then also not just isolating and upholding one culture, but rather trying as far as we possibly can to celebrate individual differences within our Res and become unified by that. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the question and thanks for your answer, Jess. Chloe, I see your hand is now down, so I'm taking that as you no longer have a question to ask or you're going to ask a similar question. So we'll move on now to Jess. You can ask your question. Jess.
Hi, Jess.
Hello.
So my question is, what are your conflict resolution skills like, and how do you typically react when faced with conflict?
So I'm going to be as honest as I possibly can. Conflict is not something that I've dealt with extremely well in the past, but I do believe that being in harmony where we have so many strong individuals with strong different opinions, I have definitely been allowed to look at myself and to say maybe running away from every single problem is not actually going to work. So I do believe I've developed good enough reasoning skills to be able to tackle situations as impartially as possible. And that is just to kind of formulate an objective answer to things instead of trying to make it too emotional because, yeah, that's like I said, I feel really deeply. And so I have a tendency of putting myself too far in there, but I think harmony has enabled me to think rationally and logically and break things down as they come to me instead of just freaking out. So yeah, hope that answers your question.
Thanks so much, Jess, and Jess for your question and answer. Nina, your question.
Hey, Jess.
Hey, Nina.
I listened to your speech and I like your goals of unification through our diversity. I want to know if you were in the place of Vice Prim next year, how would you measure your success?
I think, first of all, thank you so much for your question. Very good question. Success for me will be measured by what kind of a personal impact have I had on the individual members of Harmony. And that I'm saying because I don't want to feel as though I just was vice prim and that was my face and that was all I did. Because I truly, like I said in my speech, I want to operate as a big sister or a little sister and as a friend to everybody in Res and just develop individual bonds as far as it is within my capability.
Thank you so much, Jess, and thanks, Nina, for the question. I'll take another round of hands now for questions. Okay, Jess, again. Does anyone else have a question? Meg, okay. Sorry, Jess, I didn't mean that in like a Jess again type of thing. So please do ask your question if you want to. Okay, but Meg, your question. And Milena, okay. Meg, go for it.
Hi, Jess.
Hi, Meg.
So I wanted to ask, in your time in Harmony, you've done many different committee things and on a personal capacity as well. What is something that you think is going to help you over the past year and a bit that you've been in Res that's going to help you be in a leadership position like Vice Prim?
Thank you very much for your question, Meg. So this year and last year, this year we only had just under 3 months or 2 months. So I tried my best to get as involved as I possibly could in things that really interested me. And I think that throwing myself into committees helped me to not only develop closer bonds to the individuals within our Res, but also helped me a lot with time management skills and how to manage my academics, as well as still being a nice person to people and actually getting involved in Res things. And yeah, I think maybe the biggest contributor was I am doing a language degree, so I love writing and that kind of thing. So last year I wrote quite a lot for the Maadelief. And I think just exploring things that you're passionate about really brings out the best in you as a person. So I think the committees that I've been involved in have really helped me to learn a lot about myself.
Thank you so much, Meg. Thanks, Jess. Milena, do you want to just come around and ask your question?
Hi, Jess.
Hi, Milena.
Hello. So in your speech, as well as one of your previous answers, you mentioned that you want to operate as a friend and as a big sister or little sister. But obviously with leadership, there's a fine line between in situations where you need to be stern and go by the rules, and then also with being a friend. And how do you think, if you are in the position of Vice Prim, how do you think you will keep that balance between the two?
Thank you so much for your question.
Of course.
So the thing with Vice Prim is that you have a wonderful team of the HC, as well as the Prim for guidance and for assistance. And so I do strongly feel that obviously if you get emotionally connected to people, you don't want to have to go through those things where you have to be like a mom and discipline everyone or sort something out. So that's where I would say that is where coming in, being the best team player I can be comes in, and relying on my team and trusting my team that they can handle the situation in a more objective manner than I can, and leaving it up to them.
Okay, thank you so much. I have a question, but I'll also take the next round of hands if people want to raise their hands for questions now.
Cool.
Okay, you can raise your hand while I'm asking my question and while Jess is answering. So this question is in line with the question I asked all the candidates for Prim, and that is, there are a lot of social issues that you come in contact with in Res, but also at university in general, and we can't shy away from those things as leaders or as a Res. So whether it's racism, homophobia, transphobia, gender identities. What do you think is one, I want to say, social issue that you have seen in Harmony in your years here? And how do you think we can go about positively making a difference in that aspect?
Okay, thank you very much for your question. I think I did actually speak a little bit about this earlier with the I'm not exactly sure how to label it, but I think that I can honestly say that I have at times felt that within Harmony we do have a tendency to isolate and uphold one culture. So be it, for example, having a Soki social, whereas we could have integrated a more multicultural approach that doesn't feel as isolating towards other people. So that's where the question of I don't want to take away things, but I rather want to add things that's going to make everybody feel a little bit closer together. And social issues, like, as you said, they've taken over campus just about. And I feel like it is really important to be able to not only facilitate conversations about said social issues within Harmony, but those conversations also need to eventually at some point bring about a practical solution that we can take on together as a res. And one of my proposals for such a practical solution is quite small, but I think it's a good start, is just to make sure that within our immediate community, so for example, the Victoria cluster, that they know where Harmony stands on the issue. So for example, with the issue of racism, I think we somehow need to make it greater known without hesitation that we do not stand for racism and we do not tolerate racism within our house. And hopefully that will extend towards the greater community afterwards.
Thank you so much for your answer to my question. Does anyone else have any other questions? We've got about, okay, Alzette.
I just want to know, you say that you don't expect obstacles to just be overcome with ease or just going around it. What are some of these obstacles that you expect to face in the coming term if you get elected?
Thank you so much for the question. So when I speak about obstacles when I was writing my speech, I was more thinking about the fact that are most of us even going to be able to be on campus next year? Like, that's a big worry, with COVID-19 and isolation and quarantine and all those wonderful things. So I think for me, a big obstacle that we'll have to potentially overcome is being able to really connect with people via digital means, and that's not approachable to everyone. So I think we have to use our resources as well as we possibly can, and that's be it through WhatsApp, be it through social media. I think as a team, we need to come up with good enough solutions to be able to connect with people almost as well as we would have face to face, if that is the case.
Thanks so much for the question and for your answer. I think it's a very relevant question. We have time for one more quick question and answer. Otherwise, we are going to run out of time. So if anyone has a quick question that we can get a nice quick answer from, speak now. Okay, Nina, thank you so much.
Hi, Jess again. This is one of my favorite questions. Oh, sorry. How do you define leadership?
Thank you again for your question. So yeah, I think I sort of did speak about, but leadership to me is just making an individual difference as far as possible in people's lives. And even if they remember you as, if the situation happens that I do not get the opportunity to serve as a member of leadership, I feel like that shouldn't make a difference in the impact that I've made in people's lives within Harmony, even if it's just as the girl who waved in the corridor sometimes. I want to be able to have people say that Jessica made a difference in my life somehow. So yeah, that's how I define a leader.
Thanks so much for that final question. And thank you, Jess, for all of your answers and for giving up your time to come and chat with us, answer our questions. All the best for the rest of tonight and for tomorrow. And And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and thank you to everyone for the questions. Bye.
Bye.